Module 2, Versiton NVR system. How do I review recordings using this NVR system? In this module, we will briefly show you how to review recordings that have been recorded using the NVR system. In module 1, we gave you an overview of the camera display area and all of the different elements as far as the live view is concerned. Now we will get into more details where we will talk about exactly what do you do when you have these videos recorded and how exactly would you be able to look at those recordings. So if you recall from our previous module, this is the area where all of the cameras are displayed, and these are the control buttons essentially that provide you with more functionality of the system. So based on that, if you were to even hover over each of these buttons, they will tell you exactly what they are like. This is the start menu, this is the execute playback system, and this is where we will go in order to review the recordings. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and execute the playback system. Now this executing the playback system essentially brings up another set of windows that you will see are very similar to what we saw in the live view, but now they differ a bit. Now the first thing that does come up is essentially the date and time search dialog. Let me go over a little bit about what this dialog is about, and then we will talk about how exactly to review the recordings. At the top left section, you will see there is an icon that looks like a home. Basically what that means is that if you have multiple sites that are connected, you might want to be connected to the right site so that you can review the recording. So for example, if we had multiple sites, when you press the drop down button, we'll actually have a listing of all of the different sites that are connected to this particular client. But in this case, since we are doing it just on the local machine, we're just going to say we want to be in the local machine. The next is the refresh button. Essentially, again, if you have made any changes and would like to refresh it, this is what this button will take you there. The log viewer essentially brings up the export unusual event counting application, other things that have been configured onto your system. This one is the metadata search. Again, that is applicable when we are doing the POS integration. Majority of the cases that is not the case, and we're not doing POS integration, then you don't need to worry about these buttons. Again, this is for navigation purposes, take you previous day, next day, and pretty self-explanatory. So today is the 8th of October, so that's where we are, and here is the date and time period where you want to be. So this is like the start of when you want the review to start. So let's say, for example, if you wanted to review something starting tomorrow at let's say 9 o'clock, starting at 9 o'clock until 9 o'clock today, for example, and basically setting that before we actually set that time. That's a good thing that error message popped up. We would actually select a camera, and once you set the time, it will actually start reviewing the recordings. As you can see over here, that's me moving around trying to clean up some stuff and things like that. So bottom line is, once you have selected a particular time frame, you can actually go in and look at the recordings. Now this particular window is this particular section of the window, essentially these are different colors that could be assigned to different kind of events that happen, and again that helps you in trying to figure out exactly what kind of motion did happen when you're trying to do some investigation. Again, you can have these different colors, or you can just have the exact same color for all of the events. It's your preference essentially. So by giving them different options and different numbers, it gives you that. Now the window over here, essentially the section over here, essentially gives you a preview of the camera to tell you exactly what went on with that particular camera at that point of time. Okay, so as you can see over here, we have listing of all of the cameras that are currently connected to the system. So if you click on each one of them, it will essentially, you can select multiple of these cameras, so that when you actually go ahead and open up the recordings, it will open up for all of these cameras. So now in this case, we have selected 4 of these cameras, and we have selected a time frame that you can see starting from 11:30 or 12 o'clock until 12:14 and things like that. So once I have selected that and I press OK, it will actually bring up these particular cameras and the recordings for that particular time. So if I were to play that information, so as you can see, it is recording, it is actually displaying all of the recordings from those particular cameras during that time. Now, going forward, as you can see, there are a lot of different kinds of buttons in this section. So over here, let's stop this for a minute, and then we can go over these buttons. Okay, so the first, of course, over here, again, something similar to what we saw in the live recordings. It is essentially 4 cameras, 9 cameras, 16 cameras, however you would like it to be displayed, full screen, or this one I believe takes you out to full screen, and I'm not sure what this one does. Looks like it just takes you back to 1 camera. Okay, so that's number 4. This button over here basically again would bring up the date and time search dialog, which we just talked about in a minute ago. This is more or less for general settings that you would like to make changes. Again, we won't go into details about this button over here, but essentially that is for changing general settings. Down here, if you hover on these buttons, these are like the post-processing tools. There's a backup essentially where you want to be able to take those recordings and actually put them out on a thumb drive or a disk drive, so that way you can give it out to someone. Again, this one is also an export video option, another one of the options to export video. The difference is that backups are usually for large amount of data that needs to be backed up onto a hard drive, but export video audio is for small clips that you need. Save image, again, just like the name suggests, it is for saving the image that you see on the camera right there and there. Print, of course, just prints the current image that is out there. Log viewer again brings up the same window that we looked at earlier about what the system, what the different events that happen with the system. These two are the important sections over here. So basically over here, when you are actually reviewing and you don't want to be watching at the normal 30 frames per second speed, and if you just want to just kind of go a little bit fast so you know exactly what is happening, and you until you reach to a point where you're interested in it, you can just increase the speed that way. Okay, so once you can go up to, I believe, up to 64x speed, and you can slow it down again, or even have it in slow motion on the other side, or just have it at normal speed. As you see, the speed over here changes. Next, this one is the digital zoom portion of it. So essentially, if you want to be able to zoom into the video that is currently being played, you can do that and zoom into it, zoom back out. Okay, the buttons down here, these are essentially for when you want to be able to record, put some of the recordings out on the shared drive, for example. So you would actually, so for example, if you want to be able to review this recordings, let's say from 11:54:26 and all the way up to 11:54:30. So let's say you want to be able to export this 8 seconds worth of clip or 6 seconds worth of clip. You would start that queue in and queue out. So basically that means that I want to just separate that video out and put it on a little jump drive. So basically, once I have done the queue in and queue out, I can go back in and press the export video or audio option. Okay, and essentially I can give it a name. So for example, I could have it on my desktop. I could create a new folders, recordings of interest. I can't spell. And essentially within that, what we recommend is usually you have the year, the date, and the month and the date, and give it some descriptive name like um, employee goofing off, or you can do whatever kind of a name that you want. And once you do that, save, give that the file name. And export format, you can always have it in AVI, which is the most common format that you can send out and email it to people. If there is audio associated with the camera, you can say I want to be able to export audio. See how it says in time is 11:54:26 and out is 11:54. So the start and the end times, they match what you did with the Q in and Q out. You say okay. The exported, maybe that's just a message. You can just say yes, or you can continue and save it in a different format. And there you go. Do you want to open the file? We say yes, we'd like to open the file, and there you see our clip that we just now exported a minute ago. So that essentially gives you an overview of how to review recordings as well as how to export recordings using the NVR software. For any further questions, please visit our website www.spytechsecurity.com or give us a call at 760-740-9660.